The Galactic Council's massive meeting hall buzzed with the usual chaotic energy that accompanied interstellar politics. Ambassador Rachel Grant, Earth's chief diplomat, had seen it all before. The backroom deals, the under-the-table threats, and the ever-present tension that came with representing one of the galaxy's younger species. Today was different, though. Today was worse. The Zalthara and Volrox, two of the most powerful species in the galaxy, were teetering on the brink of war. The Zalthara, a warlike species of 8-foot-tall reptilian soldiers, wanted control of a gas giant rich in valuable resources. The Volrox, ethereal beings who communicated through waves of light and sound, insisted the planet belonged to them. Neither side was willing to back down, and Earth had been called in to mediate the situation. Rachel knew she was walking a tightrope. One wrong word and the council could explode into violence. She had her speech prepared, her arguments ready, and her negotiation tactics honed to a fine edge. But then there was Rufus. "Rufus? Not now," Rachel whispered urgently as her golden retriever, lying next to her chair, shifted impatiently, nudging her leg with his wet nose. The dog let out a soft, impatient whine, the kind that said, "I don't care about your intergalactic diplomacy. I want belly rubs." Rachel sighed, glancing at the two alien factions glaring at each other across the table. She quickly reached down, scratching behind Rufus's ears in an attempt to calm him. That's when Rufus, either bored with the lackluster petting or sensing the room's tension, barked. Loudly. The bark echoed through the council chamber like a gunshot. The Zalthara ambassador, Gronak, a hulking mass of muscles and scales, shot to his feet, his forked tongue flicking in and out of his mouth in agitation. "What is that creature?" he snarled, pointing a clawed finger at Rufus. Rachel could feel the eyes of the entire Galactic Council on her. She cleared her throat, hoping her voice wouldn't tremble. This is Rufus. He's my pet." The room fell into a stunned silence. "Pet?" Gronak repeated, the word foreign on his tongue. "What is a pet?" "Oh no," Rachel swallowed. "Don't panic. You can explain this. It's fine." She straightened in her chair. "A pet is an animal that humans keep for companionship. Rufus is, well, he's a dog. We keep him because we like having him around." Gronak's eyes narrowed, his confusion deepening. "You willingly allow lesser creatures to dwell among you? You share your living spaces with them?" "Yeah, we do," Rachel said cautiously. "Dogs, cats, birds, sometimes even fish. They're great companions." The Volrock ambassador, a shimmering entity of swirling light and sound, vibrated with what could only be interpreted as revulsion. "You keep creatures in your homes? You subjugate them to your will?" Rachel winced. "Well, not exactly subjugate. I mean, they kind of do their own thing. Cats, especially. They just knock things over for fun." At this, the Corn delegate, a bird-like creature from a planet known for its impeccable orderliness, let out a high-pitched squawk of alarm. "Knock things over?" the Corn screeched. "For fun? This is madness." The conversation that had been about war, galactic borders, and a potential extinction event was now completely derailed. Gronak folded his muscular arms across his chest. "This is barbaric. You claim to be civilized, yet you allow animals to roam freely within your homes, commanding your attention and care? What do they provide you in return?" Rachel opened her mouth to respond, but realized she didn't have a great answer. Unconditional love?" The Volrock ambassador's lights blinked out momentarily in what appeared to be sheer disbelief. "You allow these creatures to control your emotions? This is why your species is weak. You let lesser beings distract you." "Look, Rufus is not a distraction," Rachel said, a little defensively. He's a good boy." Gronak blinked. "A good boy?" "Yes, he's a good boy," Rachel insisted, though the word sounded absurd even to her. "And he helps with stress." As if to prove her point, Rufus chose that moment to stand up, wagging his tail excitedly and nudging Gronak's massive leg. The Zalthara warrior stared down at the dog, his reptilian eyes blinking slowly. And then, in an act of sheer, unbridled audacity, Rufus rolled over and exposed his belly. Rachel's heart stopped. Gronak was a warlord. He had once single-handedly decimated an entire enemy fleet, and now a dog was asking him for a belly rub. There was a long pause. The entire council watched, breath held, as Gronak regarded the sprawled-out golden retriever with suspicion. Slowly, as if testing the limits of his sanity, Gronak knelt down and hesitantly reached out a clawed hand to scratch Rufus's belly. Rufus, sensing an easy mark, wagged his tail harder. Gronak's face softened, just a fraction. This is not unpleasant, Rachel blinked. See, he's a good boy. Before anyone could process what had just happened, the Quorn ambassador, clearly trying to maintain control of the situation, leaned forward, her feathers ruffling. But surely humans do not serve these animals, do they? What do they eat? Do you force them to find food on their own? Rachel winced again. Well, we kind of feed them. The Quorn's beak dropped open in shock. You provide for them? What do they do in exchange? They sit on our laps, Rachel offered, and sometimes bring us dead birds if they're cats. Another murmur of horror swept through the room. The idea of feeding lesser creatures and receiving dead animals in return was a bridge too far for many of the delegates. Rachel could feel the situation spiraling out of control. That's when Gronak spoke up. I find this fascinating. Tell me, Earth Ambassador, how does one acquire a dog? Rachel blinked, not sure she had heard him correctly. Well, you can adopt one. I wish to adopt this dog, Gronak declared. Rufus, completely oblivious to the monumental diplomatic shift occurring in the room, rolled over and licked Gronak's claw. Rachel blinked. You want a dog? Gronak nodded, his scales glistening with newfound determination. Yes, I too desire the companionship of a good boy. And that's how it started. What had been a meeting about the fate of entire star systems had now become a galactic obsession with pets. In the weeks that followed, alien politicians, diplomats, and even military leaders began visiting Earth's embassies, not for negotiation, but to inquire about adopting pets. Rufus became a celebrity, adored by alien species across the galaxy. His face was plastered across billboards on distant planets, with slogans like, "Adopt a good boy today." Soon, the Galactic Council was less concerned with interstellar borders and more focused on the logistics of pet care. Earth found itself at the center of a galactic trade boom, exporting pet food, toys, and automated litter boxes to species that had never even considered the concept of a domesticated animal. The Volroks, beings of pure energy, became oddly obsessed with cats, though no one could figure out why. The Quorn, once appalled by Earth's pet practices, began smuggling hamsters into their society like contraband. Meanwhile, the Zalthara, once the most feared warriors in the galaxy, were regularly seen walking their dogs in full battle armor, their weapons now more decorative than practical. Earth, without even trying, had become the most influential power in the galaxy, not because of its military, its technology, or even its diplomacy. No, humanity's rise to interstellar dominance came from one simple fact: we had the best companions. One day, Rachel received a transmission from Gronak, his usual stern demeanor replaced with what could only be described as sheer panic. Ambassador Grant, Gronak's voice crackled over the comms. I have an urgent inquiry regarding my dog. Rachel sighed, already bracing herself. What's the problem? Gronak's voice lowered as though he were embarrassed. My dog? He has been acting strange. He keeps lifting his leg on everything, including my warship. Rachel smiled, fighting back laughter. Sounds like he's marking his territory. You might want to get him neutered. There was a long pause on the other end. What? Gronak asked slowly. Is neutering? Rachel's grin widened. Oh, you're gonna love this conversation.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more original content. New chapters and standalone stories uploaded weekly.